Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC 328, Chimaev versus Strickland. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So scroll on down. Alright, first fight we have in the flyweight division, we got Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Jose Ochoa to beat Clayton Carpenter. So obviously the main issue here maybe is the grappling Carpenter. Well, not maybe, is the grappling Carpenter. But I think Jose Ochoa has shown, decent taking on offense, decent scramblability, especially when you look at the Cody Durden fight. And yeah, I think he can address the grappling enough. And I think the striking edge is much bigger, or the effective striking gap is much bigger. I think Ochoa will be able to defend the takedowns, break down Carpenter over the course of the fight, and I think he stops him in the late stages of the second round. So, in this one, I have Jose Ochoa via second round TKO. Now, to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, we got Susurkaev versus Jordan Santos. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go average confidence Susurkaev to beat Jordan Santos. So, Jordan Santos is a decent fighter. He's tough. He's competent. He's not a guy that's going to just completely get walked over. I think he'll hold a good count for himself. But I think his output's not enough. It's not like he's really a guy that has consistently has pop in his punches. I don't feel like he's the more technical fighter anywhere. I feel like Susurkaev is the more technical grappler, the more technical striker, pushes higher pace. Those with more power, those with more intensity. Yeah, I think Jordan Santos, he's not going to be easily walking over. It's going to take some time. But I still think Susurkaev is going to be like the inevitable here. I think he's going to be putting pace on him, breaking him down, and I don't think Santos going to really have nothing to really keep him off him too much. Like, he's not going to have that great counter ability. He's not going to have that much pop in his punches. It's not like Susurkaev going to be fighting sloppy eyes. So I think Susurkaev going to be fighting, clean pressure, clean combinations, good power. And I think he breaks Jordan Santos down and stops him late in the second round. So, in this one, I got Susurkaev via second round TKO. Now, the next fight we have in the featherweight division, we got Pat Sabatini versus William Gomis. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence William Gomis to beat Pat Sabatini. Yeah, this is definitely Pat Sabatini's fight to win, but I'm not the biggest fan of Sabatini. And he's like 35 years old. He has been TKO'd by, what's his name? I hate when I'm forgetting this guy's name, but I'll be forgetting people's name. But anyway, he got TKO'd by a grappler that does not have much power. He's obviously on a winning streak right now, or on the winning side of things right now, but 35 years old, a guy that's very suspect when he comes taking shots. Even though Gomis isn't the guy with the most power, again, that's why this fight heavily favors Sabatini. But I just look at it like this guy's like 35 years old. I obviously know this guy ain't gonna go very far. I feel like Gomis has a much higher ceiling. Like Sabatini, he might at most be able to break into like the top 10, maybe even like top 7 in the division for a spark of time. But his build, his toughness and whatnot, or lack of toughness, his limited striking, extremely limited durability, his age, it is all signs that this guy is never going to really, probably in grappling can do it. He's doing pretty amazing in grappling. But as far as like MMA, he has a very low ceiling. Like I can't see him going too far. Again, perfect matchup for him, but I feel like Gomis has a much higher ceiling. And I feel like Gomis is just going to find a way. That's just that feeling I'm getting. So I can see Sabatini having success. Gomis struggled, but Gomis been able to get back to his feet, scramble enough, land shots. And then eventually Sabatini started to fade. Maybe Gomis catch him with a knee, catch him with something. Is Sabatini trying to level change? And then finish him off with some ground and pound. And I'm going to say like third round TKO for William Gomis. But again, it's more like a feeling pick than more so like if I would just throw him purely off technical and stylistically, it is a Sabatini favorite fight. But again, I don't really like Sabatini that much, and I feel like he's extremely low ceiling. Gomis has a high ceiling, and I just feel like he's going to find a way to win, and he's going to win and get Sabatini out there. So, in this one, I have William Gomis via third round TKO. Now, to the next fight we have in the middleweight division, we got Roman Kopylov versus Marco Tulio. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go average confidence Marco Tulio to beat Roman Kopylov. So, I just feel like Marco Tulio is just a better overall fighter, better striker, better grappler. Also, Kopylov was on a 2-fight losing streak, 2 Brazilians, but that's not the full case. But yeah, I feel like Tulio is the better striker. Kopylov not really a one-hit finisher guy anyway. He's not that unorthodox. He has good head kicks. Like, he get good setups for that, but I think that's not an issue for Tulio. I feel like Tulio even has more dynamic kicks as well, and he has a grappling edge as well, so I feel like Tulio can mix that up. Tulio, I feel like, has the better conditioning, better pacing, and I feel like overall more power. So again, that's like overall Tulio is the better fighter. And yeah, I think it'll be a good job of pressuring Kopylov, and also a good job of threatening with the takedowns, having limited success with those, keeping Kopylov on the back foot, landing good shots, good power shots, and making Kopylov be on the responsive in the area where he's not the best at. Trying to respond. When Kopylov is the one having to respond, it's not typically his best spot. He typically struggles in that spot. And we have seen Paulo Costa, and we have seen Obama. I forget the guy who looked like Obama, sort of like Obama, like an ugly Obama, but like a juiced up Obama. I forget his name right now. We have seen in Kovylov's back-to-back fights, losses to Brazilians, like they were able to put him on the back foot, touch him some power, and Kopylov just struggled heavily trying to respond. Like, he's not a great counter fighter. He's not a guy that's great particularly off the back foot, especially when he's on the back foot against a guy that could pressure and touch him with heavy power. And Tulio could definitely do that, not only with his punches, but with his kicks as well. And yeah, so I think he puts it all together and beats Kopylov by decision here. So in this one, I got Marco Tulio via decision. Now the next fight we have in the lightweight division, we got Jim Miller versus Jared Gordon. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Jared Gordon to beat Jim Miller. Yeah, I think Jim Miller has probably a higher finishing upside, and he still has a lot of guys in their 40s, they don't really get a finish, but Jim Miller surprisingly still getting a lot of finishes in his 40s, so that's a concern. But I think Jared Gordon's chin will be the hold up, and it's not like Jim Miller is like the highest output guy ever in his career, especially not at this stage. At this stage of his career, he's very not the highest output, and he has been a guy that can be outworked. And Jared Gordon is one of the hardest workers and one of the highest pace pushers in the division, even still kind of later into his career as well. Like, it's not like Jared Gordon is some 25-year-old, 30-year-old. He's like 35 himself, or 37, but he still pushes high pace, and it seems like he can average like 100 significant strikes or 100 total strikes or more. Jim Miller, I feel like at this point in his career, he's probably averaging like 50 total strikes or 60, if even that. So Jared Gordon, I feel like he could take him to the deep end and just really outgrind Jim Miller. Again, I feel like outside of getting hurt, like clubbed and stuff, or just KO'd, I feel like Jared Gordon could deal with the grappling of Miller. Being his phase, constantly throwing volume, mixing the takedowns, defending the submissions pretty well. And again, just outworking him on the feet and on the ground. I just feel like he just outgrinds Jim Miller and beats him by decision, especially like beyond the first. First is kind of be the scary round, but beyond that, I feel like that Gordon could really cleanly take over. And the threat of Jim Miller, really just starts to go away almost completely, and Gordon grinds him out to a decision. So, in this one, I got Jared Gordon via decision. Now, the next fight we have in the lightweight division, we got Grant Dawson versus Mateusz Rebecki. And how I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Mateusz Rebecki to beat Grant Dawson. And straight to the point, like, anybody on MMA math is like, Rebecki, I think the issue for me here, Rebecki, is takedown defense statistically is 50%, which is not great. But you gotta look at those fights. Like, has not, I think the most he's been held down is like 40 seconds. But again, it's still a concern because Grant Dawson, if he does take him down, probably the best guy that would have taken him down. And we see how he'll deal with if he's been taken down by a guy like Grant Dawson. But ultimately, the bigger issue is on Grant Dawson's side. Rebecki himself is a grappler. Rebecki's not a striker. Rebecki's a grappler. He's a strong grappler. He went in there with Mick the Beck Orabide. He took Orabide down 3 times. Orabide took him down 2 times. And again, the only people that really took him down have been good grapplers. And even they weren't able to do much. Like, we see Mick the Beck Orabide take down Chris Curtis and hold him down at will. He took Rebecki down and could not hold him down. And then, but yeah, again, the bigger issue is on Dawson's side. Like, if you could defend some takedowns from Dawson, he has not shown the ability to take any damage. Like, if he take like 1 good shot or 2 good shots or five good shots or less, Grant Dawson is done. And we know Rebecki hits hard. We know Rebecki's strong. We know Rebecki could grapple. And we know Rebecki can take a shot. Somebody say, oh, Rebecki takes a lot of damage. I think Dawson will want those problems, like, that he can at least take some damage. Like, because Dawson can't take any damage. Like, Rebecki, we see him take 100 good shots and still be in there battling, bleeding out both eyes shut and still battling. Dawson, we have not seen him even bleed. Like, the moment he get hurt, it's over with. Like, the moment he gets hit with 1 good shot, it's like it's over with. Like, we can see Rebecki get 100 good shots and still there. So I think Rebecki at the very least can address the grappling of Dawson, but can Dawson take 5 or more shots from Rebecki? That's looking like a no. So that's why I'm picking Rebecki. I think Rebecki can address the grappling, maybe even out grapple Dawson. Can Dawson outstrike Rebecki? No. Can Dawson take the shots of Rebecki? No. Nothing in his career has shown that he can do either of those. Outstrike him, take his shots? No. So I think Rebecki at the very least can address the grappling, land some heavy shots, and I think he puts Dawson out in the first round. So in this one, I got Mateusz Rebecki via first round TKO. Now, for the next fight we have in the welterweight division, we got Joel Alvarez versus Yaroslav Amosov. And how do I feel about this one right here? is I'll go low confidence Yaroslav Amosov to beat Joel Alvarez. So Alvarez may be the more technical striker, but I think Amosov is just a better overall fighter. Now we see, so what I've seen, I'm not saying we've seen it, but I've seen him, out grapple, out wrestle Ed Roof, a 3-time NCAA champion in MMA. Not say he didn't wrestle, man. He did MMA, so that's an impressive feat. So we know his wrestling pretty high level. We see the jiu-jitsu in the last fight, some of these other fights. So the guy can grapple. He can grapple, he can wrestle. And Alvarez has not addressed that grappling issue. Like last time we see somebody wrestling was Arman Sayukrin, and so Arman just dominated him there. And not to say Arman's better or worse than Arman, but I think at the very least you can say he's up there. Also, we've seen, if you looked at been following MMA, outside of MMA, like Khamzat's Instagram, probably about 3-4 years ago, we seen him holding his own wrestling with Khamzat. So the guy can grapple. And Alvarez, again, we have not seen him, show any real wrestling defense, any real bottom game. But I think Amosov is more run fighting. Like, and Yaroslav is no slouch on the feet either. Like, he got TKO'd once, but the guy can strike as well. He can strike. He's been 5 rounds. He's put on a good pace for 5 rounds, both striking and grappling. So Amosov has real champion experience. He was a champion in Bellator. He's like a real legit low fighter. And Alvarez has not really shown too much. This is his second fight at the weight class. Amosov has had his whole career at welterweight, pretty much. So, I think Yaroslav Amosov just a more run fighter. I just got to lean him here. I think he could possibly win the fight purely on striking. And then you mix in the fact that he does have high-level wrestling and grappling as well. I just got to lean him here. I think this fight goes the full distance. I think Alvarez will look a little bit better than he has in the past in the grappling, or at least defensively. But, again, I think striking at the very least will be close enough, and Amosov will be able to clearly edge it with the grappling. And I think he beats Alvarez here by decision. So, in this one, I have Yaroslav Amosov via decision. Now, to the next fight, we have in the middleweight division, we got Atiba Gautier versus Ozzy Diaz. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go average confidence Atiba Gautier to beat Ozzy Diaz. And I can easily go high or lock here. But at the end of the day, I do what I want. Go average. I feel like go average. I'll go average here. But again, you can treat this as high, maybe lock if you want. And that respectful. But I go average here. Really, realistically, probably high, based off of Gautier's last performance. Not that it was made him look so bad, but it wasn't as spectacular or as dominant and clean as his other fights. So you could say, yeah, maybe this would have been locked down this high. But I think, again, average is more than great enough. So average confidence, Gautier to beat Ozzy Diaz. And really with this one, I don't really see where Diaz has advantage. I don't think he's faster. I don't think he's stronger. I don't think he's bigger. I don't think he's quicker. I don't think he's smarter. Don't give him a wrestling advantage. Don't give him a grappling advantage. Don't give him a striking advantage. You might say he's a little more technical here. You try to reach for it, a little more technical here with the jab or something, or the hook, or, you try to reach for something. Like, technically he is better here in that. But we talking about effective advantages. Like, effectively he's not faster. Effectively he's not stronger. Effectively he don't hit harder. Effectively, I don't think his condition is better. His chin is definitely not better. But yeah, I just think Gautier, he's a young guy. We might say, that's who he is. Guys like, he might look like he's a 32-year-old fully grown man in his prime, but Gautier is still not even 25, I don't think. Look, guy's 24 years old. So those 24 years old guys, and it's not like he lost any power. Like, the guy ain't lose nothing. Like, he's only going to gain stuff at this point in his career. So he took that one fight. I need to work on this. I need to make my shots a little bit less predictable. I need to change things together better. So expect a much better Gautier, the best Gautier we've ever seen come in this fight. And it's not like Diaz has a great chin. I think Gautier is going to be able to put his shots together, set him up better, not be as predictable. And I think he puts Diaz out in the first round. So in this one, I got Atiba Gautier via first round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, we got King Green versus Jeremy Stephens. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go average confidence King Green to beat Jeremy Stephens. Really the main issue here is Jeremy Stephenson's power. But he has not won or finished anyone in MMA in like 10 years, really. And yeah, I think Bobby Green can definitely outstrike him. Still fast, still quicker, still fighting at the elite level. It's a big step down for King Green. Again, Jeremy Stephens' main thing is the puncher chance. And people are forgetting that King Green also has solid wrestling, solid grappling. Not too long ago, he submitted Tony Ferguson. You can say also shill of Tony Ferguson, but submitting any version of Tony Ferguson is way better than submitting any version of Stephens. Stevenson has definitely historically had questionable wrestling defense, questionable grappling defense. And I think Bobby Green could pick him apart on the feet, but I feel like Jeremy Stephens will be tough, shelling up, eating shots. and try to land counters. Maybe get come close with a couple of these counters. Maybe land some good power at time. Maybe with a jab or something. Maybe kind of grazing shots. And Green it might just be smarter to mix the grappling. So then we start to fake some little shots. And also we've seen King Green having success with his wrestling in some recent fights as well. So I can see King Green doing well on feet, probably outlanding Jeremy Stevens about like 20 strikes around, or like the clip, like the ratio gonna be like 1 to 20. That's how I pronounce it. Like 1 shot, 20 shots for every Stevenson's 1 shot landed. But he's like, Stevenson's not going away. He's tough. I have him leaking. I have him wobbling a little bit, but he's still standing tough, drawing back heavy. And then we start to see Stevenson shelling up, don't come shots, and then maybe get a takedown against the cage or in the center, wherever it may be. And then start to work Stevenson on the ground. And then ultimately, I think he submits Stevens in the second round. So after picking him apart, and Stevens starts to just be heavy on the counter, mixing the takedown, get him down, break him down, and I think he submits him second round. So in this one, I have King Green via second round submission. Now, for the next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'll go low confidence Joaquin Buckley to beat Sean Brady. Sean Brady's a solid fighter. But I think the biggest thing here is Buckley, we know he can knock people out. And we know Brady, he's been knocked out by Bilal Muhammad. And Bilal Muhammad is far from the hardest hitter. So Brady is not known for taking shots. He can't really take shots. And Buckley's been working heavily on the wrestling. He's been training with Kamaru Usman. He's been training pure wrestle. He's been doing a lot of work since his loss to Kamaru Usman in the wrestling department. And also, even barring the Kamaru Usman fight, he has never been submitted on the ground in any fight. So there's a great potential that if Brady does win or needs to win, really it's not if he does win, it's if he needs to, the path he needs to go to win, seemingly is a fight that will go full 15 minutes. Don't see him knocking out Buckley. Don't see that. Don't see him ground and pounding Buckley to stoppage. Don't see that. Could be a submission, but Buckley has never been submitted. Brady obviously is the best submission grappler that Buckley has ever fought. But I don't think that's going to be some trend Brady's going to start where he's going to submit Buckley. So, and we have seen Brady fight way less capable grapplers and not be able to finish them on the ground. And Buckley is still an athletic specimen, so on top of already having a decent understanding of grappling and having a wrestling background of his own, that's going to be a hard thing to do to submit Buckley in general or put him away in general. So Brady's path needs 15 minutes, and all Buckley needs, you need 15 minutes. Really, what's with Edom? You need 15 minutes to win, and Buckley just needs one good shot, whether it be a jab, cross, uppercut, hook, spinning this, spinning that, kick, front kick, stepping side kick. He just needs one good shot in that 15 minutes put away. And we have seen Buckley go there with guys and, with Covington, out-wrestle Covington in that fight, or at least address the wrestling and beat him up. So I think Buckley can address Brady. I think so at this point, Covington still, even that version of Covington has better wrestling than Brady. And not going to say he has better grappling than Brady, but he has better wrestling. And I think Buckley, knowing that Brady is so dependent and kind of going to be like one-dimensional as far as his approach, and also not durable. On top of that, I feel Buckley can come in, address the grappling pretty well, and even if he does get taken out, I feel like he can do a good job of getting back to his feet. And then once he starts to land on Brady, I see Brady quickly welding in this fight and Buckley putting Brady away. So, and I see that happen in the second round, mid-late second round. So, in this one, I got Joaquin Buckley via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortes-Acosta. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'll go low confidence Alexander Volkov to beat Waldo Cortes-Acosta. And I think this is a fight that favors Volkov. I feel like Acosta kind of looking for it. Cortes-Acosta look for that big shot. But if Volkov doesn't give it to him, I think he just, picks apart for the better part of 15 minutes. Kind of what he did to Sergey Pavlovich. And Sergey Pavlovich was the last one to beat Acosta, but we're not going up in main map. But even we're going more so styles, and again, I think Volkov, is the higher output fighter. Costa does more heat, but his shots can be pretty predictable. They're very effective, but they can be pretty predictable. I think if Volkov fights smart, this can be an easy fight. Can be. That's the key word. Can be. But he starts to get too aggressive, starts coming with stepping knees and leaving chin out. That's when he can walk it overhand. But if he just works on the jab, works on his kicks, stabbing the body, kicking inside leg. We've seen Acosta lose via leg kick pretty much. We seen Acosta, and who else he fought? He fought, what's his name? I think a Volkov victim. I forget the guy's name. Or was that Volkov? By the way, we seen Acosta not look that impressive in the striking department. Even in some fights he won and we're kind of close in the striking department. He just kind of edged so ever so slightly, and we're just based on really not even I don't know, but close enough. Fights, like too close. And again, with Volkov, all that length he has, and Costa, so heavily reliant on his boxing, I think Volkov could take advantage of that. Attacking the legs, blasting legs, taking away from power, using his length, stabbing the body with stepping toe kicks to the body or teeps and stuff to the body, keeping the range, working behind the jab. Still think it'll be competitive scrap. Acosta will be dangerous throughout the fight, but I think Volkov can fully maximize his length. And also, Acosta's on this great run. Volkov's run might be this extensive 5-fight winning streak, 2-fight winning streak. It might be like a 1-fight winning streak or whatnot. A 1-fight split decision winning streak, a 2-fight split decision. Like one split decision loss, one split decision win. One he should have won, the other one he did win, but could be that case. But yeah, Volkov has been doing it at a higher level. As far as the streak, whether it's on the wins or losses, it's been at a higher level. Acosta's wins have not really measured up to the level of competence that Volkov has in fights. So you can say he's on this great run, but he's been fighting better competition and has been overall looking better at a higher level, is what I'm saying. So yeah, Volkov using his length and not trying to take too many big chances, and a similar approach to the Pavlovich fight, and I think he gets a win over Cortes-Acosta. So in this one, I have Alexander Volkov via decision. Now to the next fight, we have our co-main event for the UFC Flyweight Championship. We got Joshua Van versus Taira Taira. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go Joshua Van, low confidence to beat Taira Taira. So Taira definitely is the more rounded fighter. He can finish fight on feet, can finish fight on the ground, can get a decision. Van, decision or KO, not really seeing no submission here. So Taira is more rounded, more past the victory. But I think Joshua Van has been showing a great ability to deal with grapplers. I think he has better pacing. Taira's style, is very dynamic. His cardio is not bad by any means, pretty solid. But grappling is a much more exhausting style. And if Van can scramble like he's been doing in a lot of his fights, I think the Ray Ceruria fight is a good example. And you might say Ray Ceruria is not on the level with Taira, and that's obvious. But if you're saying I need a good prep fight for Taira, it is no fight better than Ray Ceruria. And he had, the full 15 minutes deal with Ray Ceruria. Didn't shut down all his takedowns. But, defended only got taken down 4 times out of 24, 30 times. And I think Ceruria is actually more aggressive with the grappling. Taira, I don't think Taira could go for that many takedowns. With that intensity. Ceruria just kept going. We've seen Taira outputs wane with his takedowns against Brandon Royval. Again, the skill level of the ability with his higher, but maybe the output as far as the takedown output is not nearly as high as Ray Ceruria's. And also there's more rounds to deal with. So, yeah, I think Van can do a good job of scrambling. Also, Van has a great, as far as the UFC, a great historical record of dealing with grapplers. I think he's 4-0 against grapplers inside the UFC. Whether it be an inch or a mile, he's 4-0. So he's not a guy that, this guy, he lost to so-and-so. This guy took him down and submitted him. There's nothing like that. Oh, he did take him down, but Van got up. Van pieced him up. Van ultimately stopped him. That's the track record. It's not a case, Van has 2 losses in the UFC to getting taken down and held down. Van had a loss to, he shot for a takedown, got caught in a guillotine, or shot a takedown, got reversed, back taken, and rear naked choke. That's not his path. It's winning against grapplers. So it's not up. So he is showing great ability to defend takedowns, great ability to get back to his feet, and great ability to put him on the back foot and put the pressure on him, put the volume on him. There's no MMA path, MMA math. I guess let you go long division MMA math, but direct MMA math. Joshua Van beat Brandon Royval. Taira lost to Brandon Royval, and I think they both fought him in 5-round fights, I believe. But yeah. So yeah, I think Van can do a good job of addressing the grappling of Taira. Good job of scrambling, and putting that pace on him, ripping him to the body, breaking Taira down over the course of the fight, and I think ultimately stopping him in the 4th round. So. In this one, I got Joshua Van via 4th round TKO. Now to our main event, we have in the middleweight division, we got Khamzat Chimaev, reigning middleweight champion, versus Sean Strickland, former middleweight champion. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go average confidence, Khamzat Chimaev to beat Sean Strickland. And ultimately, my main issue with Sean Strickland, my main issue here with Sean Strickland is I just think his whole path to victory and his whole mindset, from what we're saying, what he's saying, and what he's expecting his path to victory to be is just hoping Khamzat Chimaev gets tired. Like, helping defend a couple takedowns, push the pace on Khamzat Chimaev, and just be the tougher guy, more conditioned guy in that, hope to drown him. Whereas Khamzat Chimaev can come in here, a lot of different ways. Khamzat Chimaev come out here and expect to just wrestle and smash Sean Strickland. Not to say that's going to be a easy or he's going to do that, per se, but he could do that, possibly. There's a good chance he could do that. That's one path to victory. He could go out there, threaten to takedown, like, when Strickland expected takedown. Chimaev's been working heavily on his striking. He always had power. And Sean Strickland, we have seen in fights that, when Sean Strickland, if you can consistently pressure Sean Strickland back and you got some decent, respectable power, Sean Strickland can lose fights just off the striking. And we've seen DDP just push a pace and keep Sean Strickland busy, mixing the takedowns, mixing the striking. We've seen Sean Strickland lose that. We've seen the Usman beat him in a similar way. We've seen Dricus du Plessis beat him 2 times like that. We've seen Jared Cannonier without the grappling, but just with the threat of power, keeping Sean Strickland on the back foot, keeping Sean Strickland honest. When Sean Strickland sees a guy that can hurt him, Sean Strickland is not the same guy. Like, when he starts feeling some power come back at him or coming his way, his output Dwayne's, or at least his intensity, at the most part, Dwayne's. And so, if Khamzat Chimaev can start to, getting some respect on the feet with some power, we can see Sean Strickland output Wayne. He not coming forward as much, not drawing as much intensity. Shut up a little bit, or Chimaev may become a little bit more aggressive. It's not like Strickland's really some great counter punch, so you can really start throwing some heat at him, get him on the back foot. It's not like you're going to expect some big check hook, some rear uppercut to catch you, some stepping knee, off the back foot to catch you. It's like, or a pull counter. He's not really a great counter fighter. His hooks are real wide and loopy. Like, there's something, it's something coming back at you at the very least, but it's something that's going to put you away. Not something you can fight right through. Like, he gets you that clean, it's not going to drop you. That's the type of punch it is. Like, the technique is too loose, like a wet noodle check hook. But, yeah. It's just too predicated on, Chimaev's can fade. And we've seen in the Burns fight, yes, the worst looking fight in Chimaev's career, or maybe the Usman fight as well, but particularly the Gil Burns fight, he got dropped multiple times in that fight, but still, he battled through. So at the very least, Chimaev has heart, and he wants to win. He's not willing to give up that loss, and Strickland's going to have to do more than just hope he gets exhausted. That's all I'm saying. So overall, I think Chimaev's a better fighter. Chimaev already knows Strickland's game plan. It's not going to be anything new, so Chimaev could definitely prepare that. Whereas Strickland don't know exactly what Chimaev's going to bring. He can see he's doing what but Chimaev could very much just go back to bread and butter and do what he's been doing. Or he'd go out there and try to strike a little bit. Not to say that'd be the best path to victory, but at least it could be something he could mix in and get Strickland, off his game. Like, damn, I didn't expect that. He'd have had that when I trained with him. Like, with Strickland, like, we know what Strickland's going to bring. He's not going to do something new. He can go out there and get takedowns on Chimaev late in the fight, and Chimaev is absolutely exhausted. He's not going to get takedowns on him. He's not going to pull off any submissions off his back. Again, unless Chimaev's absolutely washed, exhausted, and maybe you caught him in something perfectly on the temple or perfectly on the chin, and then he's wobbled, and then you might get submission or TKO. But again, too much predication on exhaustion. That's just not a great path to victory, especially against a guy as elite as Chimaev and as talented as Chimaev. So yeah, I think Chimaev is going to do what he does. I think he's going to gain Strickland respect on the feet, maybe hurt him, maybe wobble him, maybe even drop him. Ball me, just put the pressure on, land some heavy shots, get the takedown, maybe a little more competitive first round. Strickland doing a good job, maybe get it back to his feet early enough, or at least defend the submissions enough in the first round. But in the second round, Chimaev going to go full smash mode, heavy pressure, heavy ground and pound, heavy top pressure, break Strickland down, and I see a late second round submission for Khamzat Chimaev. So in this one, I got Khamzat Chimaev via second round submission. And so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC 328, Chimaev versus Strickland. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.